Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about a major and rapidly developing conflict that is shaking the Middle East and sending shockwaves across the world. The United States and Israel have launched large-scale airstrikes across Iran, marking one of the most dramatic escalations in regional tensions in decades. According to statements from U.S. President Donald Trump, the United States military has begun what he described as major combat operations inside Iran. He says the objective is clear: to defend the American people by eliminating what he calls imminent threats from the Iranian regime. At the same time, Israel has confirmed its involvement, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calling the strikes necessary to remove what he described as an existential threat to Israel. The operation, reportedly dubbed Epic Fury by the Pentagon, has been planned for months. The strikes are said to be targeting multiple strategic locations across Iran. Media outlets are reporting explosions in Isfahan, Karaj, Kermanshah, and Tabriz. Mehrabad Airport just outside Tehran has also reportedly come under attack. Videos circulating online show thick smoke rising from buildings in Tehran, while civilians are seen running in panic. President Trump addressed the nation from Mar-a-Lago, declaring that the United States would not tolerate what he described as decades of aggression from Tehran. He repeated a central message of his administration, that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. He accused Iran of attempting to rebuild its nuclear program, despite previous U.S. operations that he claims severely damaged key facilities at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. The president referenced past confrontations between the United States and Iran, including the 1979 U.S. Embassy hostage crisis in Tehran, the 1983 Marine barracks bombing in Beirut, and attacks on American forces in Iraq. He argued that Iran's regional activities, including its support for groups in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, represent a direct and ongoing threat to American troops and allies. As the strikes began, retaliation from Iran followed quickly. Reports indicate that U.S. military bases in the region have come under attack. Bahrain confirmed that a U.S. base there was targeted. The United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Qatar have also reported missiles fired into their territories. There are reports of explosions in the Saudi capital, Riyadh, raising fears that the conflict could spread across the Gulf. In Israel, air raid sirens have been heard in multiple cities. The Israeli Defense Forces announced that they detected missiles being launched from Iran toward Israeli territory. Defense systems are reportedly attempting to intercept those incoming threats. Israel's defense minister has declared a special and permanent state of emergency, closing the country's airspace and shutting down schools nationwide. The scale and coordination of these strikes suggest months of preparation and intelligence gathering. Analysts believe the targets likely include military installations, missile production facilities, air defense systems, and possibly nuclear-related sites. While official damage assessments are still limited, the intensity of the reported explosions indicates significant firepower was used.
Global markets have already begun reacting. Oil prices are surging amid fears that shipping routes in the Persian Gulf could be disrupted. The Strait of Hormuz, a critical passage for global energy supplies, could become a flashpoint if hostilities intensify. Any attempt to block or disrupt this waterway would have immediate global economic consequences. International leaders are calling for restraint. European governments are urging de-escalation, while Russia and China have expressed concern about the widening conflict. The United Nations has scheduled an emergency meeting to discuss the situation and assess potential diplomatic paths forward. Inside Iran, the mood is tense. State media is broadcasting messages of defiance, while social media videos show civilians sheltering from explosions. The government is likely to use this attack to rally nationalist sentiment, but there are also concerns about internal stability if the conflict drags on. In Israel, citizens are once again living under the threat of incoming missiles. The closure of airspace and schools signals how seriously the government views the risk. The Iron Dome and other defense systems are working to intercept projectiles, but no defense system is perfect. The psychological impact on civilians is significant. The broader regional picture is equally concerning. If Iran's allies in Lebanon, Gaza, Iraq, or Yemen become directly involved, the conflict could spread on multiple fronts. Hezbollah in Lebanon and other armed groups could open new lines of battle against Israel or U.S. forces, further complicating the situation. The historical context is important. Relations between Washington and Tehran have been hostile since the 1979 revolution. Decades of sanctions, proxy conflicts, and diplomatic breakdowns have created a deep reservoir of mistrust. The nuclear issue has been at the center of tensions for years, with debates over inspections, enrichment levels, and compliance dominating international negotiations. President Trump's latest remarks suggest that diplomatic efforts have collapsed. He claimed that Iran repeatedly rejected opportunities to renounce its nuclear ambitions. Whether there is still room for negotiation remains uncertain, especially as missiles continue to fly. For ordinary people across the region, the immediate concern is safety. Families in Tehran, Tel Aviv, Riyadh, and other cities are watching events unfold with fear and uncertainty. Air raid sirens, explosions, and emergency alerts are becoming part of daily life as governments brace for further escalation. Military analysts are now closely watching the next moves. Will Iran escalate with larger missile barrages, or will it attempt asymmetric attacks through proxies? Will the United States expand its target list deeper into Iranian territory? And how will Israel respond if its cities sustain significant damage? There is also the question of duration. Some operations are designed to be short and decisive, while others evolve into prolonged conflicts. If critical infrastructure inside Iran is heavily damaged, rebuilding could take years. On the other hand, sustained missile exchanges could lead to mounting casualties and international pressure for a ceasefire. Another factor is domestic politics in all countries involved. Leaders often face internal pressures during wartime. Public opinion, economic consequences, and casualty reports can quickly shift the political landscape. How citizens in the United States, Israel, and Iran respond over the coming days and weeks will matter greatly. The humanitarian dimension cannot be ignored. If urban areas continue to be targeted, civilian casualties could rise. Hospitals and emergency services may become overwhelmed. Refugee flows could increase if people attempt to flee affected regions. Cyber warfare is another possible front. In modern conflicts, digital infrastructure can be targeted alongside physical assets. Power grids, communication networks, and financial systems could all be vulnerable to cyber attacks as part of this confrontation. As we speak, information is still coming in. In fast-moving situations like this, early reports can change rapidly. Governments release statements, independent journalists provide updates, and analysts attempt to piece together a clearer picture from satellite imagery and eyewitness accounts. One thing is certain, this is a turning point. Direct, large-scale strikes between the United States, Israel, and Iran mark a dramatic shift from shadow conflict and proxy engagements to open confrontation. The consequences will likely be felt far beyond the Middle East. The coming hours and days will be critical. Diplomatic backchannels may open, even as military operations continue. Global powers may attempt to mediate or at least prevent further escalation. But for now, the region is on edge, and the world is watching closely. That is the latest on this developing situation. The conflict is evolving rapidly, and we will continue to monitor updates as they come in. Stay informed, stay safe, and we will keep you posted as more details emerge.